Bienvenido, respected dignitaries, media members, notable speakers, and all noble conference participants. Hola. As a very concerned citizen of the world, I humbly greet you. Thank you and respectfully salute all of you here today who have come with open hearts and minds for the welfare of this beautiful and beloved planet that we call home. I'm deeply grateful for the conference that is being held here today in Veracruz, Mexico, to address the urgency of global warming due to climate change, which sadly have killed hundreds of thousands and affect hundreds of millions of humans, not included other species. It is my hope that it will raise higher awareness and inspire action toward the most serious international issue of our time. The information communicated and the noble work being done here today is of paramount importance. It is an honor to share the planet with dedicated people such as yourselves who strive for the betterment of others. We all know that climate change is a grave issue. We all know what it is, and that the current critical condition of our planet calls for immediate and wise action from every one of us. Please do take note of all the infos from this conference today and spread them far and wide to save our world from perishing. I take the opportunity to inform you the general urgent scenario, though perhaps some of you or many of you have already known. You see, our current course of climate change is worse than the worst-case scenario projected by the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, with the damaging and often fatal effects already being seen through such extreme events as hurricanes, flooding, droughts, and heat waves. Even if the world reduces greenhouse gas emissions, the planet will take time to recover from the gases already in the atmosphere. This is why it is necessary to focus on short-lived gases, namely methane. Methane traps at least 72 times more heat than CO2, average over a 20 years period. Methane's biggest source is the livestock industry, which is indeed one of the top causes of global warming that must be stopped. But first, please allow me to share just some of the latest evidence of the impacts of climate change on humans and animals' lives. Here we have first Arctic melt. The Arctic or North Pole may be ice-free by 2012, 70 years ahead of IPCC estimations. Without the protective ice to reflect sunlight, 90% of the sun's heat can enter the open water, thus accelerating global warming. The change in Arctic ice covers is dramatic, with climatologists saying that only 10% now is older and thick ice, while over 90% is newly formed and thin. Another Arctic change is the thawing of permafrost, a normally frozen layer of Earth containing methane stores. The thawing of this layer in recent years has caused methane to be released, with atmospheric levels that have risen sharply since 2004. Further global warming beyond a 2 degrees Celsius rise could cause billions of tons more of methane to be released into the atmosphere, leading to mass extinctions of life on this planet. As the massive ice sheet of Greenland and the Antarctic continue to melt as well, catastrophic sea level rise and stronger storms are expected to follow. If the entire West Antarctic sheet melts, global average sea levels would rise at least by 3.5 meters, affecting over 3.2 billion people. That is half of the world population, who lived within 200 miles of coastline. And U.S. scientists from the National Snow and Ice Data Center now say that if all of Antarctica were to melt, the sea level could rise to a much higher level than expected. Some say even up to 70 meters, which means more deadly to all lives on Earth. Next problem, we have land sinking and climate refugees. Right now, at least 18 islands have completely submerged around the world, with more than 40 other island nations at risk from rising sea levels. A report from the International Organization for Migration stated that there may be 200 million or even up to 1 billion people will be climate refugees by 2050 or within our lifetime. These are people who must leave their island or coastal homes due to rising sea levels or permafrost melts that cause entire communities or nations to sink and collapse. Next problem we have glacier retreat and water shortage. Most of the planet's glaciers will be gone within a few decades, jeopardizing the survival of more than 2 billion people. 1 billion of these people will suffer the effects of the Himalayan glacier retreat, which have been occurring at a pace more rapid than anywhere in the world, with 2/3 of the region's more than 18,000 glaciers receding. The initial effects of glacier melt are destructive floods and landslide. As the glacier ice retreat continues, reduced rainfall, devastating droughts, and water shortages are the result. Next, oceanic dead zones. Climate change is creating areas of sea known as dead zones, which now number more than 400. These arise